Hi guys, it's Lucy, and today I'm here to do the mid-year book freakout tag. This tag was created by Chammy from, she changed her channel name, I think it's Chammy, I'll link it down below, and Ellie Jane, who I think has a blog, not a booktube channel. I'm also gonna intersperse questions from the mid-year check-in tag, which was created by Harriet Rosie and Dane Reads. So some of the questions for the mid-year book freakout tag I didn't quite have answers to, and there were some questions from the check-in tag that I wanted to answer, so I just put those in instead. In the past, I've done like a stats check-in and a goals check-in, but I feel like if I do that, this video is going to be too long. I'm probably going to do it in another video. I don't know, I might not. Without further ado, let's get into the questions. The first question I'm going to answer is, how many books have you read so far this year? And the answer to that is 37. I am 3 books ahead of my goal of 65. So I think I will make the goal. I've always been ahead, like all year basically. The next question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2018? And for this question, I have 2 answers because I feel like I've read a lot of good books this year and it's really hard to narrow it down to just one, so I chose 2. And the answers are I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I read this in February for Black History Month and I loved it. It was so good. Like, it's a classic for a reason. I talk about it a little more in the wrap-up. And the other book that is one of my favorites so far this year is Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. This book caught me by surprise, but I loved it so much. And I really recommend it if you want to read about teenage girls dealing with sexism in their community. I think it's done really well. Best sequel you've read so far in 2018? So I looked at the sequels I've read, and most of them are companions, but of the ones that I have read, I've chosen Obsidio as my favorite sequel so far this year. I thought it was a good conclusion to the series. I've actually changed my rating to it to 4 stars. I originally gave it 4.5, but upon further reflection, I realized it doesn't quite fit 4.5, so I gave it 4 stars, but I still liked it a lot more than Gemina. And yeah, I thought it was a good conclusion to the series. Most anticipated book for the second half of the year, A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. So I DNF'd the Shatter Me series. I haven't actually announced that I DNF'd the series, but I'm pretty close. I read the second book and did not like it. I read the first book, really liked it. The second book, did not like it. So I'm probably not going to finish the series and go on to like the reboot or whatever. But A Very Large Expanse of Sea sounds really, really interesting, and the like early reviews I've been hearing of it and just like the description makes me really intrigued, so I'm looking forward for it to come out and for me to read it. It's kind of not an autobiography, but it's based kind of on Tahira Mafi's real life. It's about a 16-year-old Muslim girl, and we follow her in the year after 9/11, so 2002. And she's dealing with all of the prejudices people have for Muslim people, especially so close to 9/11, and to deal with like her frustration about it. She loves to break dance with her younger brother, which sounds really interesting. And also she ends up meeting this boy who she feels like really wants to get to know her, and we kind of follow that. Yeah, I don't know, it sounds really good. My description is probably not the best, but I want to read that. The book that was the biggest disappointment of the year was Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. I just had it in my head that I was really gonna love this, and I really did not love it. It's a book of short stories, and it has like a lot of magical realism in it, which I usually love, but for whatever reason it just didn't work for me at all. The book that was the biggest surprise, this would probably go to the Nowhere Girls, but I already said that. So the second biggest surprise, I would go with Ask the Passengers by A.S. King. I just did not expect to like this as much as I did. I thought it would be like an okay book, but it really like pulled me into the atmosphere of the book. I don't know, maybe it was just how I was feeling, but it just had like a really melancholy feel, I kind of feel like, but also a little bit hopeful, and I didn't expect to really enjoy it as much as I did, especially because like the reviews on it are just like meh, but like I really loved it. So favorite new author, debut, or new to you? For this one, I have kind of a cheat. I don't know if it's a cheat, but my author is Anna Marie McLemore, and I have not read a book by her, but I did read a short story by her, which was in the Radical Element, which was an anthology about girls who have like a radical element to them, and I did a whole review of it. If you want to check it out, link down below and somewhere on the screen. But yeah, I read her short story in it and I fell in love with her writing the whole story, so it made me really want to read her full books, so I really need to get on that. What genre have you read the most this year? contemporary, which is no big surprise to me. Contemporary is almost always my most read genre. It is my favorite genre, so it's no surprise that I've been reading a lot of it. Although sci-fi is second, so I don't know what that says. Book that made you cry. Okay, so again, The Nowhere Girls fits under this category, but since I already talked about The Nowhere Girls, I'm gonna go with The Hate U Give, which I read in January. It was like the first book I started in the new year, and it was a great way to start off the year. And it had a lot of moments where I laughed and where I had tears, you know, coming to my eyes. If you haven't already read it, which I'm sure you have at this point, I was pretty late to the game, but there's a movie coming out. I don't know when it's coming out. Is it September? October? Later this year. So I'll be watching it, hopefully if I can get my butt to the theater, which doesn't happen often, but we'll see. A book that made you happy. Freshman by Tom Ellen and Lucy Iveson. I just recently read this and it was really funny. I don't know, it just, like, I read it and I was happy the whole time. Not the whole time, but like, it's really a laugh out loud book, and so if I'm laughing, I'm smiling and I'm happy. So favorite video you've done so far this year? Once again, I have two, one booktube related and one not booktube related. The booktube related one is the Shithole Countries tag. I just had fun doing that, and I like the whole idea of the tag of turning like lemons into lemonade. And then my not booktube related one is another video that I've recently posted, and that was my Thailand haul. I don't specifically like it because of anything I did in it, but I just like that I have that memory, the memories of going to Thailand. I show all the stuff that I got, and I put in a bunch of like clips from when I was in Thailand, so if you haven't already seen it, you should check it out. Both those videos will be linked down below. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. The answer to this question, I think, is The Bells, which once again I bought pretty recently, but it's just such a wonderful cover, and I can't show it to you right now because it's packed. It's actually being held by the USPS right now because I shipped it to where I'm moving, so yeah. But just look at the picture, it's nice. The last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? All the arcs that I have, because I think I've previously mentioned this, but I really went a little crazy on NetGalley, and I'm still getting accepted for books I requested in like May. So the pile keeps getting bigger and I'm not reading fast enough, and I really want to read and review all those arcs because like I was accepted for them to review them and like share them with all of you, and like I really do want to read them. The other books that I would really like to read by the end of the year are more of my TBR books. I had this whole goal that I'll probably talk about in my mid-year check-in, but like I wanted to read like a certain number of the books off my physical and ebook TBR, and I'm nowhere near completing that. I would just like to prioritize my arcs and the books that I already own, and I need to stop getting books from the library. I have, for the most part. The only books I get from the library nowadays are audiobooks that I can listen to, and they don't really take away from me physically an ebook reading. You know, reading with my eyes is what I'm trying to say. And then I think the last question is to tag people, but it is the middle of July. So I'm pretty sure most people have done this tag, although everyone was doing this tag too early. Apparently the exact midpoint of the year is July 2nd, and everyone was doing this tag in June, so it wasn't the middle of the year. But I digress. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about anything that I talked about in this video, please be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what was your favorite book that you've read so far this year in 2018. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell if you want to get notified whenever I make new videos. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!